My name is Marius van der Ham. I'm the General Manager for AirFrance-KLM in Eastern Southern Africa, including Nigeria and Ghana.
Okay. So,
Oh yes, I have two memories of it. One is a bit fake because it was a very long time ago. So even in the small country of the Netherlands, where I'm from, we used to have these domestic flights between Amsterdam and Maastricht, which is in the very, very, very south part of the Netherlands. And I remember, I think I must have been, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 years old, and my grandparents took me on this flight. Now it's of course not very sustainable anymore to have a flight for only 100 kilometers.
yes.
But I remember it was very exciting. Yeah. And the second one I think was much later. I don't think I even flew on an airplane again before I was maybe 13 or 14. And it was the first big trip I took with my family. We went to the United States, which was also very exciting.
Yes.
Yeah. No, at that time, not at all. Actually,
Yes.
no. It was quite a coincidence. I ended up in the airline. It was a bit opportunistic. I was in college in the north of the Netherlands, in a city called Groningen. And when I was doing my master's thesis, I needed an internship. And one of the guys I used to live with in my student house worked at KLM. And he said, oh, I happen to have an internship at KLM, maybe you're interested. And I did my master thesis there. And then that was really the first time I got to know the company and became a bit enthusiastic for it. So it was a pure coincidence, to be honest. Kenya. Well, I was lucky because I've been already away for 10 years from the Netherlands. So I've experienced some different cultures in the last decade of my career. So I was a bit more maybe open-minded, or at least used to different perspectives. So I wasn't too, first of all, worried about the culture shock. So I didn't experience it that much, to be honest. What I do appreciate is I think Kenyans are not so much different from Dutch people. And sometimes I feel maybe not everybody says maybe directly, and maybe there's a bit more hierarchy involved here than in the Netherlands. But in general, people say their minds, and they're quite direct.
Yes.
That's what I like. That's what I'm used to.
Okay.
Success.
Yes.
Yes. I think yes, it has been super nice.
Okay.
I've been lucky enough that in the 12 years I worked for Air France-KLM, I've spent 10 years outside of our head office in the world. I've experienced so many different people, cultures, and countries that I feel pretty lucky. Well, my first posting abroad was in the United States, was in Atlanta. And being brought up as a kid in the 90s, especially in Western Europe, American pop culture was really the only thing that we saw on TV, and which was like the coolest place to be.
Yes.
So I was really excited to go there. It was a bit of a letdown, as you know, it might have the status has declined a little bit over the last couple of years, but still, I found it very enjoyable to kind of just experience these crazy Americans for a while. So that was very nice. And I think after that, Kenya has been super great. You know, as a country, to be able to live in a vibrant city as Nairobi, but also have so many spectacular venues and nature just hours outside of the city is really a treat.
Okay.
Well, as I said, it was a bit of a disappointment because growing up in the '90s, it was all these sitcoms and basketball and Michael Jordan and all this stuff, and I think those heroes have declined a little bit. I was there when Trump got nominated for the first time, so it was a bit of a disappointment from my perspective, let's say. I think if I can describe myself, I must say, I think I'm an open-minded, laid-back guy that's not too easily stressed, looking for pragmatic solutions to day-to-day stuff, both work and in private life. So I tend not to try and worry too much. I like to know where we're going, but the way we get there is usually open to whatever can happen during the day. So don't stress about things you cannot foresee or not help. So try to be try to live day by day. Yeah, well, it depends a bit on which side of the airline you work in, I think. But true, I've been working a long time on really the commercial side, a bit the hardcore commercial side of the airline, which is really about pricing and revenue management. So to that extent, yes, I'm analytical. I have enjoyed very much figuring out how we as an airline kind of trying and make money and how we sell tickets and what kind of price a ticket should have and why and how we can optimize that. So that is more what I really like to do personally. So that's why I'm very analytical. But if you look at other sides of the airline, for example, more on the airports or in the operation, you need some form of analytics, but you also just need to be focused a lot towards safety and making sure everything goes right according to all the procedures and safety agreements that we have internationally to guarantee safe and reliable operations. And then on top, you also have to have a good customer focus, because in the end, we transport people and they like to have a good experience. Spontaneity, I don't think is something that has to do with what I just said in work. My spontaneity comes much more from my private life, I think. And to remain spontaneous, I don't know. I think it's a thing in your character, right? What we and my family like to do a lot is just to go out in nature. So we have 2 small kids, we have 2 dogs. So it's always busy. So we like to get out of the house. When we were still just me and my wife and our dogs, it was a bit more easy. But now you have to involve the kids also. So as I said, day by day. But in the weekends, usually we just decide Saturday morning, okay, what's the plan for today? And then it can be we go to the national park, or we go outside of the city, or we just go to one of the nice places here in Nairobi. That's more what we do. I think in the end we're more forest bush people.
Bush people.
Yeah.
Who's the dog person between you and your wife?
Oh, we both are.
Yeah.
So we were both. So I've always had a dog. So there was a dog in my life before I was born in the family. There's been there, multiple ones growing up. And and my wife exactly the same. And the first chance we got when we were living together, we got one. Dogs also live extremely in the moment, right? They only see what's happening at that moment in their life. So it has shown me, and they're also very reactive. They're reactive to your behavior, to behavior in general. So I think what dogs have taught me is that you get back what you give immediately. And that's a lesson I think is also true in business. It's also more about how you interact. So if the way you interact with people is what you get back. Well, sometimes running a business, because my position has a bit more weight in the business than it has in the family.
Yes.
Yeah. I think we are quite, yeah, how do you say this? It's not reactive, but it's we like to give space. So we don't try to manage a lot the kids. We just try to give them some boundaries, and then within let them do their things. So we also, when we do activities, we try to just say, okay, this is more or less what's the plan today. Let's see how we do it, and then we just let them run with it. Whether it's just let's do some crafts and what do you want to make. Or when we are even at a big playground or whatever, just let them find their own way, and let them know they can come to us when there's questions.
Yeah.
I think that it's funny. I think both my wife and I were raised in a bit more with a bit more boundaries. So maybe that's why. My childhood was very fortunate. I must say, I was very lucky. I had nothing to wish for, so that was good. And I had a lot of within the boundaries I just mentioned. I had a lot of freedom. So I think what I miss, I don't really miss it. It's just more. It was such a free time. It was a very careless and free time. Yeah. For just that freedom sometimes. We all, when we get older, we get some more responsibilities, right? And life is not always it's not always fun. It's not always easy, whether it's private or business. So to have had the privilege of such a careless youth, it's just been amazing. And I fully realize that not everybody has the same experience. So that was very valuable for me.
Okay, you mentioned that.
What I said, I try not to worry too much about things I cannot control. So I really like to. I try at least as much as possible to only worry about things I can influence, and then also be responsible and actionable on those things. But I think whenever you start to worry about things that are either larger than your life or outside of what you can do, you're taking on a weight that. It's just not helpful. And I don't say you shouldn't care about things you cannot influence, and you should do and try your best with on those causes that feel right to you. But don't take the weight of the world on your shoulders. The worry is, I think it's mostly a worry, or it's mostly, I think, an inevitable thing that's going to happen. I at one point told my parents that I was not happy about a list of things. They are going to tell me at some point, right?
Yes.
So that's funny. So my wife and I are pretty reflective. So sometimes we say, do you remember? I think that's an important lesson. Remember the moment that you started telling your parents where you weren't happy about, because that moment's going to come. Don't be arrogant. Don't think that point is never going to come. And it will always be the things that I or my wife, we said, okay, that are the things that bothered us from my parents. The things your kids are going to be bothered about from you are going to be different things. It's going to be things you don't expect. So am I, I'm insecure about it? No. I think so far I can still defend my choices. Yeah. But it's going to be interesting. Yeah.
I know.
Well, nothing really pops to mind immediately. I think on the question I ask myself weekly, on a weekly basis concerning the role I have now is, am I or are we as the management of this part of our company doing the right things for I think first of all the teams, the people that we have working here. and does that align with what we want to achieve with the business? And and what can we do to improve that, right? So that's what I'm trying to ask myself on a weekly basis, and I try to ask also the team. Are we still aligned with this? Yeah. So I think that in terms of work, and in terms of privately, I don't know. I don't have so much hard questions to ask myself. I think other than just am I being the person that my family would like to sit at the table with? I think it depends. I think mainly a head
Yes.
person.
Yeah.
I'm very I like rationality and logic, but I have a hard family, so that creates conflict sometimes. I have a very passionate wife who is, I think, much more heart than head sometimes.
Yes.
Which is good because we complement.
Yes.
And my kids are pretty young still, so my son is only 3 years old, but my daughter is turning 6 soon. She's having a tendency to go for the heart more than the head at this point in life.
So you are outnumbered in your own house.
I'm outnumbered, yeah. So rationale doesn't work all the time, but it's good. It also forces me sometimes to go a bit more in my heart, which is, if I can say that I've received what I've received in terms of feedback sometimes from people, both privately and in work, is that people would like maybe to see sometimes a bit more vulnerability or a bit more heart. So that's a good mirror then.
Is it?
Yeah, because you can also always default to this, right?
Yes.
So that makes it easy, but it doesn't always makes you liked. No, I think you can adjust yourself towards situations or towards jobs or towards where you are in your career. But my personal opinion is, I think the maximum you can adjust yourself is what? This is a head thing. 5-10%.
Yes.
90% is you.
Yes.
And if you're gonna try and force differently, it's not gonna work.
Okay.
I wish sometimes, I think in general it's okay, people would want to understand that I generally have the interest of everybody I work with at heart. And you notice when you come a bit up on the corporate ladder, decisions get sometimes less popular and less easy. And you get judged for it sometimes. And that sometimes feels unfair, which in generally I can handle well, but sometimes also at night I think, this is, why am I the bad guy now? It's this is also just what needs to be done, and I try to explain it as best as possible. But you learn quickly, not everybody can be happy. So I wish people would at least know that it comes from the best interest. To some extent, yes. To the other extent, I think also in this job, I think we have a very good team, management team, and I think we're pretty well connected. So it doesn't feel so lonely because I think we can always support on each other. That we, after we had all the discussions and all the yes and no's, and after at least we draw a line and made a decision, we are quite uniform. So then it doesn't feel so alone. If you're making decisions and then the troops kind of fall apart and start to show inconsistency, then it becomes difficult. But it does sometimes happen also before you get to this unified decision. there's opposing camps and somebody has to make the final decision. And then it can be a bit lonely, but I think the company we work in, there's, I have peers. I can also call people outside of here to reflect on and talk with, even with family,
Okay.
Yeah, no. So I don't really feel the loneliness.
Okay. What do you?
What I really like to do, I did not used to be a sports person.
Yes.
Not at all.
Yes.
I was very, sorry?
She's thanking God.
Yeah. I was very mediocre sports guy in high school during university. Didn't really interest me that much, but I think throughout my 30s, I've kind of gotten into like general fitness, gym, running, those kind of things, which is really, really now what I just like to do to relax. So when growing up, I used to do more team sports, which was nice because it was social, but I was really focusing on the social side, more outside of the lines of the field. And now, if you say, what do you really do for you, is more these individual sports with a bit of endurance. So I like to take long runs or just go to the gym a couple of times a week. And then it's just me, myself. That's what I really like. So running, so we were training actually for the Lewa past weekend, which was cancelled, unfortunately. So I've been running a bit more last couple of months, but usually I think maybe once a week or something. Now at least last year I've been going to the gym a bit more than running. But in the past decade, I've done like half marathons, 1 or 2 marathons, and then you kind of 3-4 months before you start really doing a training program 3-4 times a week, and for maintenance it's just more relaxed. It really, what is nice about running, things just come up. So there's actually 2 things. So when I'm really training, I like to do. I'm doing a lot of math in my head. And it sounds a bit strange, but I'm always looking at my pace and then trying to calculate. Okay, if this pace, what will be my time on this type on so many kilometers or so many kilometers or so many kilometers? And I don't know why, but this just happens in my head, and it's kind of
become a routine.
It becomes a routine, and it's nice because you're kind of focused on just, okay, where am I going? What if I continue like this? Do I feel I can do a bit better? And what's the time on this training going to be? So it's a bit like related to just the performance, and it really keeps you in the moment, and before you know it, time passes fast. But it can also be like people sometimes say that you get a good idea while standing in the shower. It also works when you're running. Sometimes I'm just, hey, this is maybe a good angle for this business thing we're working on, and then when I come back, I just write it down. Good. There's multiple things happen.
Okay.
It's no. There's not really. There's nothing boring about running. I think the most hard part is getting out of the door. Right?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. But it's not boring. No, and especially not here. This sounds strange for you guys, but actually, if you think about it, running in Kenya is pretty cool. You're kind of running at the birth ground of running champions, right? Yes. This is where running kind of comes from.
Yes.
You guys are top notch.
Indeed.
And then the only tough thing about it is when I'm running here in Nairobi, I think about the perfectly flat surfaces of the Netherlands. No hills inside.
Yes.
Here you do a training route of 5 kilometers and you do 1 kilometer of meters altitude.
Yes.
My God.
Yeah. Fitness.
Not this time of year, but there's of course I don't know what the season is, but there's a lot of monkeys.
Yes.
You have some digs, small ones, and I saw sometimes some warthogs, which was interesting. No, but that was why I was so excited for Lewa, because that would have been super cool.
Yes.
Running and then seeing this big herd of I don't know, impalas or whatever.
Zebras.
Zebras, yeah.
We try again next year.
Yeah, we try again. Yeah, I think our tickets are valid next year. Yeah. What I just generally like to be around my friends, and I think when we show each other love, or how that reflects on me, is if we just are at the big table together with drinks and conversation and laughing. I've been very lucky. I've met the same group of friends since high school already now. So what is it, 30 years or something? We go away for a weekend like every year, right? Boys' weekend, so to say. And what the thing is that always amazes me about this group of guys is the only thing we're looking for in accommodation is a big table. As long as there's a big table,
that's it.
We're fine, right? So I really enjoy so much just sitting around the table and talking, whether it's relevant things or not so relevant things.
Yes.
That's what's really nice. And I think if you talk about love, like in my family life, it's the same thing. If we're together at the table and we make a bit of dinner, we have some wine, and we're just focused on each other. I think that's when I really feel the love.
Okay.
I think I'm a bit of a jokes guy.
Yes.
I like to keep it light.
Yes.
I like to make a bit of the jokes, to put a bit of the atmosphere in the group. But I generally also like when we get a bit more serious. I also really like to know, especially with my friends, if I haven't seen them for a long time, what's going on. Can I help? Just give each other some advice. No, that's good. So I think just sitting at the table with each other is really something I enjoy. I think I enjoy it more than when we would go bowling or something.
Yes.
If you have a group of friends for 30 years, you share so many things, right? So, and a lot of them are special, and a lot of them are also just the memories we created together. It can be, and if you know each other for 30 years, it can be very emotional. We were kids, so we were sharing. First of all, we were saying, "Oh, I have my first job," or this and that, and it's so cool. And then later, oh, the first of your friends loses a parent, and you share that together, right? Or something else, something drastic in somebody's life. And then the fact that we still carry on after so many years, even if we don't see each other for a year or even longer, we live in different parts of the world, just to be able to go back to that immediately when you're at the table and then share what's happened in the last couple of months and to understand each other, that I think that's the most valuable. So I cannot really pinpoint one specific thing.
3 points.
My life hasn't been without challenges. I think I can still realize that I've been privileged, that I have had a lot of benefits in my life starting, but it hasn't been without its challenges or without its deeply sad moments. And I think I've always been pretty open about it. I really believe that talking about issues that you're facing with is and sharing it with people around you is generally the better tactic, because it shows people what you're going through, and it helps them understand what your state of mind is on a daily basis. And so it's not only for me with the people that are very close to you, but also with people which you work with or are a bit more distant to you. So I think, in generally, people pretty much are aware of what's happening. I think your title and your position doesn't really matter.
Okay.
If you don't act in a way that you can work with the people who make your organization or who make your life or your family or whatever, it doesn't really matter who you are, who you claim to be. Matters less. You know, we're growing up, I don't know, at least where I came from, it was a bit like, ooh, you know, what title can I get? And when?
Yeah.
But it becomes less relevant very fast.
Okay.
Well, I think the easy jokester answer is professional soccer player. I don't think it's going to happen anymore. You never know. You know, I think Pepe from Portugal playing in the
He's
Euros.
40.
He's my age, or he's the same year born as me. But I think he's the
Still have
oldest
a few
one.
months.
Still have a few months to go. I think I'm an ambitious person, right? So I think I have goals. But I think I've also learned that the kind of aiming for something is already a very good achievement. Aiming and developing towards something is, I think, already where you learn and develop instead of actually achieving it. So I think I've come to terms with the fact that you don't really need to achieve everything that you set your mind on, as long as you're open to learning from the journey of getting there. I don't know, it sounds maybe a bit vague, but I think really you know, trying to do your best, moving to the next step, trying to keep a little bit this goal in mind, but whether you achieve it or not, I think is less important. I listen to so many different things and I get so much reactions of different things. So I'm a bit of a soft guy sometimes. So I can watch, I don't know, a bit of rom-com movies and like literally have tears in my eyes because I'm just
rom-com.
Yeah, rom-coms, you know. You know, you just switch off, you sit on the couch and you don't think about anything, and then you know, there's just this emotional story, and you get moved a little bit. Why not?
Yeah.
No, I'm generally, you know, my wife always says, you know, are you crying? Because for the most stupid things, I start to cry on watching television. And in terms of music, I'm really a bit of a rock guy.
Yes.
So growing up, I was fully Guns N' Roses.
Yes.
You know, we had a theme day here the last, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago, and the theme was 90s, dress up as your 90s thing, and I had a T-shirt of Guns N' Roses on.
Yes.
And I think maybe 60% of the people here have no clue what this band was. So that was a culture shock.
Yes.
Man.
Culture shock.
Yeah, exactly. But no, but now I listen to a lot of Foo Fighters.
Yeah. Okay.
Without getting too into the details of my life sometimes, but my wife and I struggled to have children. It took a long time. So of course a hard thing, especially for my wife. You know, all the things you have to go through, doctors, whatever. And what I used to do, what I think really helped her, is I would hide little notes throughout the house, in her bag, at her workplace, just little things of encouragement. It's very small, but in like a hard time of your life, I don't think anything big will help. It needs to be small and personal. And I think that really just helped us just give each other a little bit these notes of encouragement.
Yes.
And in the end, it worked. What I think everybody should know is that you should try and keep your ego as small as possible. I think when you look at leaders or like corporate figures, the ones that I think are most successful, are the ones, and even in life, trying to keep their ego as silent as possible. It's not always easy because you have to sometimes, put yourself on the forefront and show a bit of, toughness or decisiveness or decision making, whatever. But in the end, if you can keep your ego small, it means that your ears are open and that you're reflective of what's happening around you, and that you really understand what are the driving factors behind the driving factors that surround you. And that's, I think, the only way you can truly be successful yourself, because if you start ignoring that and putting your own ego in front of all the noise that surrounds you, then you'll lose in the end. That's what you should know, Eddie.
Thank you. I think.